Welcome, beautiful soul. You're safe here now. Let the weight of the day melt away. This is your time to rest, to breathe, to feel held. You're not alone. You're gently wrapped in warmth, in quiet, in love. Close your eyes and let this story be your lullaby. This one is called Your Voice in the Snow. The sky is already bruising purple when your boots crunch into the first untouched layer of snow. It's the kind that sighs under your weight, like it's been waiting all day for you to arrive. Your breath fogs out in soft clouds, and the cabin looms ahead, small, old, wooden, tucked against a ridge, like it's hiding from the wind. There's no one else here. The cold is biting, but not cruel, not yet. You shift your bag higher on your shoulder and unlock the front door with fingers stiff from the drive. Inside, it smells like cedar and dust, like a room sealed away just for this moment. You flip the light switch. Nothing. Of course not. But the fireplace is still stacked from last winter, and there's a matchbox on the mantel like some past version of you remembered your future self would need it. It only takes a few minutes to get a fire going. Your hands fumble a little. Too eager, too cold. But once the flames catch, the room begins to glow. Shadows stretch and retreat. Golden light dancing on the walls like warm memories. You unpack slowly. Sweaters, thick socks, that old flask of scotch you barely touched last year. Your phone, with the battery already dipping low. And the headphones. You sit cross-legged on the old rug, your back to the heat of the fire. Outside, snow keeps falling in silent spirals, and inside your pocket, there's a voice you haven't heard in a long time. Not really. Not like this. The first voicemail is from last March, before things started to fade. You hesitate, then press play. Hey! So, I saw this dog today that looked exactly like the one we used to see outside the cafe. Remember? The one with the bandana? You smile, unprepared for how your body reacts. That warm punch in your gut, like hunger or nostalgia, or both. The voice sounds different through headphones, closer, softer, like they're here, slouched beside you on this worn-out rug, firelight catching in their eyes. You scroll through the list. 27 saved voicemails. You've never been good at deleting things. The second message is shorter. Something about missing your laugh. You don't laugh, though. Not this time. You just listen, letting the sound of their voice do what it does. You close your eyes. Let your body lean back into the creaking cabin floor. You didn't come here to remember. But you didn't come here to forget either. Later, you heat soup from a can, your breath still ghosting in the air until the fire warms enough space around you to feel safe. You eat with the spoon you packed last minute, because you always forget the cabin has utensils, and stare out the frost-kissed window as night swallows the trees. There are no stars tonight, just the faint orange pulse of the fire behind you, and the thought that their voice still exists, perfectly preserved in this glass box of a phone, still waiting, still reaching. Back on the couch, wrapped in a blanket that smells vaguely like old pine and detergent, you scroll to message number 3. I hate how late I stay up sometimes just thinking about that stupid corner where we kissed in the snow. You know the one? Outside the bookstore? You do know. You remember the exact street lamp, the exact angle of their nose, lit gold and flickering, the wet eyelashes, the cold. How their gloved hands fumbled, nervous and certain at once. You should have deleted these. But maybe you always meant to come here and listen again. Not just to them, but to you. Back when their voice meant morning routines and grocery lists and late night "are you still ups?" Before distance stretched the thread too thin, before silence moved in like dust on untouched shelves. Another log on the fire, another voicemail. You start to speak back, just under your breath, just enough to hear yourself remembering. "Yeah," you whisper. "I remember the dog and the bookstore." Midnight passes. You don't mark the moment, but the fire dims to amber, and outside, the snow falls in sheets, thick, soundless. You press your face against the window, forehead cold to the glass, and stare into the dark woods. The kind of dark that feels like a held breath. There's something about being the only person awake in a house, even if you're not alone. Especially if you're not. You check the phone. Battery at 9%. You plug it into the old solar charger you left here, hoping it still works. It does. Barely. The cord has to be angled just right, like an old trick you remember from college dorms and train station sockets. You lie back, feeling the creak of the floorboards beneath your spine. The next voicemail is half laughter. "I'm standing in line for tacos right now, and there's this kid behind me telling his mom he wants to be a cloud when he grows up. A cloud, babe. I can't. Anyway, I miss you. That's all." You don't even realize you're crying until the warmth on your cheek surprises you. Just one tear, maybe two. You wipe them away before they dry, before they leave a mark. You fall asleep like that, one headphone in, the other tucked under the blanket. The voice still playing as your breath slows, syncing with the rise and fall of the fire's glow. And in your sleep, it feels like they're whispering right beside you. You wake to the sound of wind, not howling, more like murmuring, like it's trying to say something through the trees. The fire's gone out, but the embers glow faintly, as if they too are listening for a reply. Your neck is stiff. Your phone is warm against your thigh. And the sun, what little there is of it this far into winter, is just beginning to blur the horizon outside the frosted window panes. The voicemail is still paused where you left it. You press play again. "I miss you, that's all." The simplicity of it clings to you like morning fog. No dramatic pause, no breathless longing, just 3 words that manage to say everything and nothing all at once. You shuffle into the kitchen and flick the kettle on, wrapping the oversized flannel tighter around yourself. The floorboards are cold enough to bite, but you welcome it. Something to feel besides the ache of memory stretching across your ribs. Coffee tastes different here, stronger, quieter, like it knows not to wake the woods. You take your mug to the couch, feet tucked under you, and scroll to the next message. It's from a few weeks later. Hey, it's late. I'm not expecting you to answer or anything, I was folding laundry and found that hoodie you left here. The gray one with the paint on the sleeve. I put it on, hope that's okay. You inhale sharply. You remember that hoodie, not because of the paint, or the cold, or the fact that you almost threw it out twice, but because of how it held their scent long after they'd gone. You once wore it for a week straight, just to feel less alone. You imagine them slipping it on, their hair tousled, their face soft with sleep or sadness, or something in between. And suddenly your chest is full of ache and heat. The kind of heat that doesn't warm you. You keep playing messages. One's from the grocery store. They're laughing again, always laughing when they're nervous. I just saw a guy buy 12 bananas. What do you even do with 12 bananas? Do you start a smoothie cult? Another's from a rainy day in May. I wish I'd taken that trip with you. The cabin one. I know you invited me 100 times and I kept saying next year like a moron. You paused that one. Not ready yet. You open the cabin door instead, letting the cold slap your cheeks. Outside the world is white and humming. No footsteps, no birds. Just snow. So deep it erases all memory of paths and boundaries. You take 3 slow steps into it. Socks wet instantly, before turning back. Too cold. Too fast. Inside, you stoke the fire again, this time with more intention. The ritual feels sacred now, like feeding something ancient, something listening. You tuck your knees up to your chest on the couch, headphones in, and let the next few messages play uninterrupted. I bought a new mug. It's ugly, but it made me think of you. Each one is a breadcrumb, dropped across time, a trail back to a version of yourself you don't know if you miss or mourn. Your hands stay wrapped around the mug long after it's gone cold. Somewhere between messages 7 and 12, you realize you're answering them. Quietly, not to the phone, not even to the room, just to the space they once filled. Yeah, I still hum that song. No, I never replaced that mug. It was perfect. I miss you too. I think. I don't know. Maybe. It feels foolish, talking to memories, but also necessary. Like untying knots just to feel your fingers working. The snow thickens through the day. You measure time not in hours, but in firewood logs and voicemail lengths. They're all short, these messages. 2 minutes at most. But they carry the weight of novels, of seasons, of what-ifs, and maybe some days. You listen to one where they say your name, just your name, nothing else, and somehow that hits the hardest. The sun begins to dip again, or maybe it never rose properly. Winter days don't follow normal rules. You eat a piece of bread and cheese and call it dinner. You don't feel hungry, just hollow in a way that's not unpleasant, like being carved out to make room for something else. The next message is longer. There's wind in the background. They're outside, I passed by your old apartment today. The lights were off, obviously, but it still made me stop. I stood across the street like some kind of weirdo, just watching. For a second, I thought I saw you in the window. Isn't that stupid? I miss how you used to leave a lamp on for no reason, just to make it feel less empty. You close your eyes. You did do that. You still do. You let that message loop once, then twice, just for the way they say, less empty. As if there's such a thing. Night wraps around the cabin again, darker this time, heavier, but you don't mind. You add another log to the fire and sink into the couch with your blanket, your phone, your ghosts. You don't cry this time. You just listen. And when the final message for the night plays, a soft, tired voice saying, "Good night, wherever you are," you whisper back, "Good night," and mean it more than you have in years. Morning finds you slowly. The kind of slow that seeps in under doors and behind your eyes before you're even fully aware you're awake. Your limbs are heavy, wrapped in warmth, but your face feels the chill of the air. The fire has burned down to soft ashes and sleepy embers. You roll over on the couch. Your phone, miraculously, still holds a little charge, 5%, blinking like a tired heartbeat. The solar charger catches a bit of light from the window, enough to trickle energy back in. You angle the cord carefully, coaxing a few more minutes of connection. There's a voicemail you skipped last night. Not because you meant to, but because it came after the "good night," and somehow it felt like a boundary. You press play. I woke up from a dream about you. We were on the roof again. You had that dumb blanket with the holes in it, and we were watching the city lights blink like fireflies. I think I told you something important in the dream, but I can't remember what. You sigh, deeply. That wasn't a dream. That happened. The blanket with the holes is still in your closet, folded and forgotten behind old sweaters and things you keep just in case. You two had wrapped yourselves in it like kids playing house. The wind had made your teeth chatter, but you stayed until the streetlights turned off. Funny, the way memory bends time. You speak out loud again, voice hoarse. You told me you loved me, and then said, "Don't freak out." You chuckle softly. You'd said, "Okay," and buried your face in their shoulder. You never really answered. Not properly. The kettle takes forever to boil. The cabin creaks in protest of the cold. Everything feels slower this morning, as if the world is catching its breath. You pour hot water over stale coffee grounds and let it steep longer than necessary. Outside, the snow hasn't stopped. It just keeps falling, like the sky is practicing surrender. Back on the couch, you sip and scroll. You tap the next message before you can talk yourself out of it. This is dumb. I know I shouldn't keep calling, but it's like, if I say these things out loud, they feel less heavy. I keep thinking about what we didn't say. All the almosts, the maybes, the times we held back just to be polite. You don't realize your hands have tightened around the mug until you hear it creak faintly. You relax your grip. They're not wrong. You were always careful with each other, as if honesty might break the spell, as if saying too much would shift the balance and send everything toppling. So many moments spent pretending you weren't on the edge of something enormous. You pause the message and go to the window. The whole world is buried now. The trees wear snow like silk, heavy and quiet. You press your forehead to the glass again, and your reflection meets your gaze with soft, tired eyes. You decide to talk back. You don't record it. You don't need to. You just speak, slowly, as if they might be able to hear. I kept everything small because I thought you'd leave if I wanted too much. I didn't know you already were. It feels good to say. Not because it fixes anything, but because it acknowledges the shape of the wound, and somehow it makes space for air to reach it. The next few hours pass in silence. You clean a little, just to feel useful. Wash the mug, sweep the corners of the cabin. You find a book you left behind last year, halfway through and dog-eared like a promise. You don't read it, just carry it around with you like a totem. In the early afternoon, the sun manages a brief cameo behind thinning clouds. It spills into the window and hits the floor like melted gold. You lie down in it like a cat, letting it soak into your skin. Another message. I went to that bar we loved. It's different now. They're remodeled. The jukebox is gone. I know it's stupid, but that kind of broke me. You close your eyes. That place had sticky floors and a bartender who always looked like she wanted to start a revolution. You danced badly there once, on a dare. They'd filmed it. You deleted the video, or thought you had. I wanted to call you from the parking lot. The message continues, but I didn't. So I'm doing it now. I miss us. Not just you. Us. That word strikes a match somewhere in your chest. You curl into the couch again, blanket up to your chin, and for a while, you don't listen to any more voicemails. You just stare into the fire, which you finally managed to keep going without babysitting. You let the heat and quiet do their work. Let the thoughts rise and fall without grabbing onto anyone too tightly. Later, when the snow pauses, just briefly, you step outside again. The sky is low and lavender. The cabin behind you smokes gently from the chimney, like a held breath finally exhaled. You crunch through the snow to the edge of the tree line, just far enough to look back and see the whole cabin, small and glowing. You speak softly into the cold air. You know I still talk to you sometimes when I cook. A pine branch dumps a puff of snow onto your shoulder. You smile. Yeah, I figured you'd laugh at that. You head back in, cheeks flushed, heart strangely full. That night, you build the fire higher than ever and play 3 more messages. One where they're quiet for most of it, then say your name like it's a question. One where they ramble about a movie they hated. And one where they pause, sigh, and say, I think I loved you more than I admitted. Even to myself. You breathe slowly through the ache of that. Because you want to say it back. And maybe you will. but not tonight. Tonight, you'll just let their voice echo in the spaces it used to live, and let yourself feel everything you never made time to feel. You lie on the rug, the fire warm behind you, and whisper, "I think I loved you more than I knew." And this time, you mean it. By the time you wake, the cabin feels like it's been wrapped in wool, dense, muffled. The storm has arrived. The kind of storm that erases the world. You hear it before you see it, wind dragging invisible claws across the roof, the sound of snow brushing the windows in thick, sideways sheets. No birds, no distant trees creaking, just the hush of something massive and white settling over everything. You pull your blanket tighter. The fire's still alive, but only just. You add another log, watching it catch slowly, reluctantly. The phone is at 12% now, miraculously charging overnight. A small mercy. You swipe to the next message with a kind of reverence, like you're opening a letter you know by heart but still need to read again. Do you remember that road trip? The one where we got lost and didn't care? I still think about that gas station in the middle of nowhere. You were wearing that ridiculous beanie. You laugh quietly, despite yourself. That beanie had ears. Literal animal ears. They dared you to buy it at a truck stop outside of Santa Fe, and you'd worn it the whole way home just to make them laugh. Even when the cashier looked at you like you'd lost your mind. I think that was the last time I saw you really laugh, the voicemail finishes. Like belly laugh, no filter. Your smile fades, gently. You settle in for the day like you're preparing for hibernation. Every sound outside has been swallowed. The wind comes in waves, soft and sudden, then gone again. You move from couch to kitchen to fire like a tide, aimless but constant. The next message is quiet, barely above a whisper. I know we stopped calling it love. I don't even know what to call it now, but it still felt like something, like a chord that hadn't finished resolving. You close your eyes and let those words roll over you. A chord that hadn't finished resolving. Music metaphors always made sense between you. You used to leave playlists for each other like breadcrumbs. Maybe you still do. You listened to 3 messages in a row after that. Short, out of breath, sent at odd hours. 2 a.m., 5 p.m., 11:11. The kind of times people say things they wouldn't say in daylight. I passed someone who smelled like you today. I heard your name in a crowd and turned around. It wasn't you. I'm sorry for the thing I said about your mom. I didn't mean it. You start crying again. This time, you let it happen. Let the tears find their way into the curve of your cheek, into the scarf around your neck, into the floorboards that have soaked up decades of quiet. You cry without sobbing, just a steady, aching release, like snow melting from a roof. You lie on the floor, bundled in every blanket you packed, staring at the ceiling beams. The storm outside rages, but inside is still. Not peaceful, just suspended. I didn't know how to love you without needing you. I think I confused the two. You whisper back, me too. It's not even bitter anymore, just honest. The wind rattles the shutters for a moment, like a reminder. You sit up and drink something warm, tea, probably. You're not even sure what you steeped. The scent is floral, and it coats your throat like memory. By late afternoon, the snow has stacked against the window frames. You can barely see outside now. The world has been reduced to 3 rooms, 1 voice, and your breath. You find a notebook in the drawer of the side table. You don't remember leaving it there, or maybe you do. It's your handwriting on the first page, a list of groceries you never bought. Underneath, a line. Even if we forget each other's voices, I'll remember how you made silence feel full. You don't know if you wrote that, or if they did, or if it matters. You flip the page. Blank. You start writing. Not long entries, just lines, responses. Not letters, just answers. I did laugh. I do remember. You weren't stupid. I was scared. That chord, it still hasn't resolved. And then, I'm not mad anymore. You pause after that one. Let the pencil fall into your lap. Let the air settle. The last voicemail of the day is different. There's a pause before it starts, a kind of bracing breath. If you ever hear this, just know, I wanted to stay, I really did. But something in me broke, and I didn't know how to ask for help without making it worse. It's the longest pause yet. I loved you. You deserved to hear that from me. And I'm sorry I only learned how to say it when I wasn't standing in front of you. You don't speak this time. You just let it echo. Let it fill the cabin, warm and aching and unresolved. When you finally move again, it's to light more candles. The electricity won't come back soon. The storm is too thick. But the fire is holding. The warmth still lives here. And so does their voice, now wrapped around your ribs like something protective. You fall asleep on the floor, this time under the table, like you used to as a kid during thunderstorms, safe under a ceiling, the messages playing on loop. Not to remember, not to forget, just to feel them again, even if they're only shadows on the snow. You wake before sunrise. It's not even light yet, but something stirs you, soft and certain. A kind of stillness so complete it feels like the world is holding its breath. You sit up slowly, limbs stiff, wrapped in a cocoon of quilts and silence. The storm is over. The snow is stopped. You move to the window, bare feet cold against the floorboards, and press your palm to the frost-laced glass. Outside, the landscape is hushed and untouched. A blanket of snow as smooth as icing on a cake, glittering faintly in the last breath of moonlight. And there, on the horizon, is the first streak of pale gold. Solstice Sunrise. You watch it rise in real time, no fast-forwarding, no filters. Just the quiet, dignified way the sun climbs over the mountains, pouring light into the world like it's something holy. You don't check your phone immediately, not because you've forgotten it, but because for the first time in days, it doesn't feel like the most important thing in the room. When you do pick it up, the screen flickers. The charger has done its job. 27% now, just enough. You scroll to the final voicemail. You know it's the last one, not because of the date or the length or the placement in the list, but because you remember saving it. You remember the moment you listened and couldn't breathe for a minute after. You put in your headphones. You press play. I don't know if you'll ever come back to the cabin. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but if you do, I hope you find this. I hope you listen to all of it. and I hope it helps. They sound calm, not rehearsed, just steady, like they've made peace with the things they left unsaid. I loved you in a way that scared me. Not because it was wrong, but because it was so right, and I didn't know how to be that brave. But you made me want to be. You feel it again, that old, aching warmth rising through your chest like something trying to bloom in winter. I hope you're safe. I hope you're warm. I hope you found whatever it was you needed that I couldn't give you. And if you still hum that song, good. You're crying before it ends. Of course you are. But not in the same way as before. It's softer now. Simpler. Like letting go. You stand slowly, move to the fireplace, and stoke the embers for the last time. The flames catch easily now, like they know this is goodbye. Then, you do something you hadn't planned to do. You open the front door. The cold rushes in like a whisper. You step outside, barefoot, blankets still wrapped around your shoulders. The snow is thick, but not cruel, just deep and clean and endless. You take a few steps forward. Your feet disappear into the powder. Your breath clouds the air. And you speak aloud into the open sky. I heard you. The trees don't reply. They don't need to. You stand in the snow, watching the light spill over the world. And for the first time in a long time, your chest doesn't feel so heavy. The grief is still there, but it's folded now, worn in. Something that lives beside you instead of inside you. You close your eyes and let the sun warm your face. It's the solstice. The longest night is over. And if you still hum that song, good. You're crying before it ends. Of course you are. But not in the same way as before. It's softer now. Simpler. Like letting go. You stand slowly, move to the fireplace, and stoke the embers for the last time. The flames catch easily now, like they know this is goodbye. Then, you do something you hadn't planned to do. You open the front door. The cold rushes in like a whisper. You step outside, barefoot, blankets still wrapped around your shoulders. The snow is thick, but not cruel, just deep and clean and endless. You take a few steps forward. Your feet disappear into the powder. Your breath clouds the air, and you speak aloud into the open sky. I heard you. The trees don't reply. They don't need to. You stand in the snow, watching the light spill over the world. And for the first time in a long time, your chest doesn't feel so heavy. The grief is still there, but it's folded now, worn in. Something that lives beside you instead of inside you. You close your eyes and let the sun warm your face. It's the solstice. The longest night is over. You go back inside. The cabin is warm, and the floor grates your feet like an old friend. You plug in the phone one last time and press play on the first message again, just for a moment, just to hear them laugh. Then you delete it, not to forget, but to make space for something new. The fire has burned down low now, just a gentle cradle of red and gold. The wind outside is quiet, tired maybe. The storm has passed, and everything it buried has been unearthed in the calm that followed. You lie on the couch once more, blanket tucked under your chin, body soft with the kind of weariness that only comes after truth-telling. The cabin no longer feels like a museum of memory. It feels like a place where something began again. The last glow of sunrise fades into day. You watch it from behind heavy eyelids, letting the color wash over your thoughts, like watercolor on wet paper. You've listened, you've remembered, you've grieved and smiled and whispered back to ghosts. And now you rest. Let the stillness wrap around you like snow. Let the fire's warmth tuck itself into your bones. Let the quiet become not something you fear, but something you welcome. A gentle hum in your chest. Not silence, but softness. The cabin will wait for you if you ever need it again. But for now, you're okay. You are warm. You are safe. And even if the voice fades, the feeling stays. The echo of something once held, once cherished. Sleep now. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts float like ash in the air. There's nothing more to do tonight. Just the fire, just the snow, just the softness of letting go. Sweet dreams.